Even though the co-owner of Cannabis Culture, Mark Emery, has been released on $5,000 bail, he still faces trafficking charges. Police raided 6 dispensaries in Montreal Friday night. 10 suspects were taken in, as well as 40 pounds of marijuana and cash. This comes just a day after the shops were opened in the city. Jodie Emery was among those arrested. She's also a co-owner of Cannabis Culture and a marijuana activist who's been released. Jodie, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Take me back to Friday afternoon, Friday night. What happened? How did the raids and the arrests happen?
Well, journalists gave us a tip that police were going to raid. We showed up at a shop and there was only media and happy customers lined up down the block. So I left that location to go check on the others while Mark stayed behind. And then we heard that police were raiding many locations simultaneously. Myself, I was arrested later that night at my hotel by undercover officers, but I was released without charge, though I'm still under investigation.
Now, what do you make of the fact that they moved to arrest and shut down the dispensaries?
I think it's really shocking and really poor judgment for the police to use millions of dollars enforcing a law that's going to be outdated in the near future. I was really hoping they would exercise some discretion. We know that cities all across Canada are allowing dispensaries to operate, and in fact, a federal court judge said that dispensaries are the heart of access. And when the law is being used to harm harmless people, it's really an unjust law. So I ask the police and I ask the Prime Minister to please stop arresting people for marijuana. If it's unjust to arrest them in the future, how can it be justified today? And though the Prime Minister says the law is the law until it changes, we know that in Oregon, where it was legalized, they stopped arresting people immediately. And 95% of marijuana growers who go to court have no criminal connections to organized crime, have no other law-breaking record. So these are ordinary Canadians who are forced by the government to stay underground with the threat of persecution and a lot of demonization directed towards us, even though we are the pioneers who built this industry that stock market licensed producers are now profiting so handsomely from.
Have you gotten any signals at all that Canada might follow in Oregon's footsteps and not arrest people at once, between now and once the law is changed?
Sadly not. Justin Trudeau years ago was not in favor of legalization. He was only in favor of decriminalization, talking about how young people getting criminal records cost taxpayers and deprive them of their freedom. Now he's changed his tune and he's focusing on just legalizing in the future, not to please the recreational consumer, which I don't understand who he's looking to please. And meanwhile, the task force report itself said that marijuana storefronts should be allowed. When people like my husband and myself and other peaceful Canadians are being hurt by the law, that's an affront to our freedom. The Canadian Senate report itself said in 2002 that marijuana prohibition does more harm than the substance itself.
Only a little bit of time left. How's Mark doing, and what happens now with these shops in Montreal?
Mark arrived in Toronto at 2 a.m. I got here late yesterday as well. We're both all right. We believe in this cause. We will take whatever comes with our peaceful civil disobedience. But it's really quite shocking and upsetting that this government would have us arrested when Mark has already spent time in the U.S. as a political prisoner, and we have sacrificed so much for legalization. I was a Liberal nomination candidate. We raised support for them. We've run for office. We've protested. We've done everything we can to push legalization. And now the Liberals want to push us out from being allowed to participate in that legal industry.
Marijuana activist and co-owner of Cannabis Culture, Jodie Emery. Jodie, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.